Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Digital Transformation Agenda Silicon Valley Tour 2022. Thank you for joining us on this recording. For those of you that didn't manage to join us at the Silicon Valley cocktail, we welcome you, and we hope that this presentation will give you some insight into what we discussed at that cocktail. My name is Dumisani Ngala, and it's my job to share with you why we as Telco jumped on the opportunity to partner with Strategic Outcomes and Coach Taff to put together the Silicon Valley Tour 2022. Now, Telco has been in existence since 1991, and that makes us 30 years old as of July 2021. That may actually make us the second oldest telecommunications company after Tel1, which is obviously the grandfather of all telecoms players. Now, I think you'll agree with me that any company that has survived for more than a quarter century in Zimbabwe, especially in the Zimbabwean context, has lived a number of lives. Perhaps like how they say a cat has 9 lives. But in Telco's case, we've lived at least 3 lives or 3 iterations that we can think of. The first iteration started in 1991 as the first subcontractor to the Postal and Telecommunications Corporation, PTC, setting up what we would consider now to be very basic rudimentary telephone systems. And these were overhead lines in deeply rural areas. My chairman, who has joined us in this room, can tell you countless stories of traveling the length and the breadth of the country with the founder as those projects were underway. It's a history that we are particularly proud of because if you like, even back then, we were already involved in the transformation, the digital or analog transformation of Zimbabwe. And as most of us would know, a measure of the advancement of the socioeconomic drivers in a nation is something called teledensity. It's one of the top 3 drivers of socioeconomic drivers of development. And we were already a part of doing that. So as per iteration number 1, we would call it our rural telephony phase. The second iteration started in 1997 when this new marvel called the internet was introduced into Zimbabwe under PTC once again. We were the first indigenous company to get a franchise from the then PTC, which is now Tel1, to provide dial-up internet services to the public. You could say a second wave of digital transformation had begun at that stage for Zimbabwe. And once again, we were right in the mix. It was at this stage that our founder, with a very small team, made their first trip to San Francisco to learn all about this technology. The investment in the equipment and the training at the time seemed hardly to justify the small revenues that were trickling in. But the vision for a digitally transformed future had truly taken hold. And by that stage, IT skills and specifically ICT skills among young Black Zimbabweans were not yet commonplace. So Telco was the first to start training young technicians in this newfangled technology. And as a result, we're very proud of the fact that there is a Telco trained technician and engineer in a number of local and global institutions, including NASA, Harvard, MIT, and many other global companies. The second iteration also saw us become the first independently licensed internet access provider after the 2000s. We were the first to roll out a fiber network that connected almost all the financial institutions, the first to roll out fiber to the home. We were the first to roll out an ADSL network in Borrowdale Brooke at the time, and I could go on about many of our firsts. So at the close of the second iteration in about 2015, this left us with a network presence in 23 cities and towns across Zimbabwe, 7 out of the top 10 financial institutions sitting on our network, the largest embassy in Africa also getting service through us, and thousands of businesses dependent upon us. So now we come to the third iteration. Internally, we like to call it Telco 3.0. And we see this as a new wave of digital transformation, which is truly upon us. Not just us as a telecoms player, but our entire ecosystem, including our customers, our suppliers, our financial partners, and so on. But with this third iteration, there come new risks and new challenges alongside new opportunities. The first risk or the first challenge that we see as the emergence of digital transformation happens, it emanates from globalization. Globalization presents a risk to organizations and entities alike, that where you will find that entities that have no local presence or infrastructure can start to eat our lunch. Two examples jump to mind. Historically, the biggest revenue earner on a traditional telecoms network was voice traffic. And it's common cause now that WhatsApp has come along and cannibalized voice traffic on most networks, and the data revenues are a fraction of what could have been earned by voice. A second example is Netflix. Netflix is eating ZBC and MultiChoice's revenues for lunch, dinner, and breakfast. And it's disrupting the entire television model and turning it on its head. Is it possible that we could find many of our industries and many of our verticals disrupted in exactly the same way by global organizations that don't have local presence and don't have local statutory obligations, but they're earning revenue from our very customers? The second challenge or risk that we see is something related to value chain fragmentation or disintermediation. Many organizations such as ours have invested in various technologies over time, and each of those technologies sometimes end up presenting fragmentation in the sense that data is stored in many different systems and it's not coherent. And this incoherence is felt particularly by our customers, that can feel like they're talking to five different entities when they talk to our sales departments, our accounting departments, our operations departments, and so on. So data is fragmented over many different systems, and business intelligence systems are not yet delivering the value that is fully required in order to have one integrated system that talks to our clients, that talks to suppliers, and that talks to the market in general. That's the second risk that we see. The third challenge is related to the second, and it emanates from supply chain fragmentation. This speaks to the fact that although we're supposed to deliver to the end customer, we find that our supply chains are so fragmented, they are not delivering a seamless experience, and they're not delivering the ecosystem coherence that we would require. So digital transformation is no longer an issue that solely resides in the technical department. Transformation and the fourth industrial revolution are strategic issues that confront every single business. If we don't grapple with what it means for our businesses, our supply chains, and our customers, we may find ourselves sidelined and very quickly become irrelevant. The Digital Transformation Agenda platform, set up at the height of the 2020 pandemic, is designed to do this very thing, is to design to create conversations that then allow us to move towards a coherent, digitally transformed future. So we find ourselves back where we started in 1997, just about to embark on a trip to Silicon Valley in San Francisco, the heart of the digital revolution, to learn what we can learn for our business and our industry. But this time, we don't want to do this alone. We want the learning to be a shared experience, because shared experiences are usually enriched experiences. So we hope you will join us.